back to foundations of Rome. So, in the previous video, we mentioned how Rome had its origins in Troy, essentially. If you read Homer's Iliad, you probably know something about the Trojan War. So, the Greeks invaded, what is now Turkey, Troy, on the uh, southwest coast of the Black Sea. Okay, that's where it was located. Or the Sea of Marmara. I actually need to look at the map to clarify. Why don't we, guys, do this quick? Troy ancient map. Troy was actually on the Aegean Sea. No, it was not on the Black Sea, it was on the Aegean Sea. So, Greeks essentially, wanted to invade um, Troy, and they did not really know, how to do it. They kind of considered a lot of options, and they came up with this horse, as you all know, and they, hid themselves inside the horse, and they presented it as a present. Okay, so they said, "You guys, Trojans, we, love you, we respect you so much. Take this horse, please. It's our present, and then we're just gonna get the hell out." And there was one guy who protested, Laocoon. I'm sure you've seen the famous statue, Laocoon. The statue. So one Trojan man, did protest, and what happened is a snake ate him and his whole family. So he was killed by this, kind of super evil snake. You know, and he knew that this horse, there was a trick to it, but he kind of did not end up well. Okay, so just to kind of make sure you guys follow the story. The Greeks wanted to invade, and they came up with a trick. They came up with this horse, so they hid themselves in a horse and said that that's a present for you Trojans. The Trojans, they were kind of hesitant, but they said, okay, all right, let's take it. So they brought it inside the city walls, and there was one guy, Laocoon, who wanted to protest this. He said that's a bad idea, do not do this. But a snake, killed him and his whole family. And later on that night, close to midnight, the Greeks got out from inside the horse, and hell broke loose. Pillage, plunder, the whole 9 yards of warfare. And Homer is pretty graphic with his description, but for our purposes, we need to focus on one guy, and that is Aeneas. Okay, Aeneas was a noble young man. He was of noble origins, and he, when this stuff was happening in the background, you can see flames. Greeks, killing and raping and doing their evil business, and Aeneas, picked up his father over his shoulder, and took his family with him and got on a boat. Okay, and this boat sailed to the southwest and then to the northwest. Okay, so essentially down to Greece. So let us take a quick look at a map. So we have Troy here, so he sailed here around Greece. A whole bunch of adventures happened, and then he ended up, you guessed it, in Italy. Okay, eventually, like not right away. It was not just non-stop. It was a whole bunch of adventures, but he sailed to here, and essentially to where now we have Rome. Of course, he Aeneas was not the direct founder, but he made a settlement and tribes, and essentially in the kind of in the area where Aeneas settled, uh, Romulus and his brother ended up living, and the rest of the story about how one brother killed another. So that's the story about how Rome was founded.